It just didn't happen at the same time we were doing this one.
Yes. All right. You guys are live.
Good morning, everybody.
Hi, morning, how are you?
Good, thanks. How are you guys?
Good. Okay, so I guess what we'll do is, call this over, but we have to have a chairman and a vice chair.
Yes, please.
I did take that off of there because I thought we had our first one, but you're right, new council.
New council, new chair.
Yep.
So amend the agenda.
Yeah.
Agenda. So, okay. Let's restart.
Yeah.
Call order. I'm gonna call this meeting to order at 10:03 a.m. And as this is the first meeting with the new council, I'd like to add to the addition to the agenda to do a call for a chair and a vice chair. So motion to make amendment to the agenda to add doing chair appointment and vice chair appointment. All in favor?
Yep.
Okay, and now I will request who would like to be considered to be putting their hand forward to be chair of the MPC.
Well, I will if it's acceptable.
I would agree with that, and that Paul and I haven't been through one before, so just for the direction.
I agree.
So motion to appoint Lauren as chair for the MPC.
Yes,
All in favor? Yes.
yes.
You were the vice chair as well?
I am going to transfer this over to the chair to call for a vice chair.
Let's need a nomination for vice chair.
What are you thinking, Paul?
I'm good either way. Happy to do it, or you can do it.
You meet about once a year. I can stand for vice chair.
Okay. Dan, the vice chair, all in favor?
Yep.
Yeah, Paul, sometimes it isn't, doesn't happen in a year, like it's very
Yeah, it's only when
sparse.
Mhm.
So everyone's in agreement and off we go.
Okay, so approval of the agenda.
Previous minutes.
Previous minutes, the previous minutes were basically to do with a cabin on First Street. That had wanted to put a decking on the front, and it was encroaching. So we overruled a little bit to have them put the deck on in one corner at the back.
Of the existing deck, yeah.
Yes.
Of the existing.
Yeah. So we gave a variance on the setback requirements.
So basically, the decision was made because of the fact that it wasn't gonna affect the neighbors at all. It wasn't part of the structure.
the map? Paul, can you hear us?
I can hear okay. Yep.
Perfect. Sorry.
So that's it was pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
So is there any business from the minutes? Any questions on that one? Okay. So
To adopt.
adopt the minutes. I'll make that motion. All in favor?
Yes.
Thanks.
So Angela, can you take us through the one we have for today?
You bet, yes, thank you, Lauren. So we have today, we have applicant is Barry Price at number 12 Nicole Way. and they're proposing a detached garage. So proposing to construct a new detached garage in the front yard of a lakeside parcel at 12 Nicole Way in Somerville, White Sands. The Somerville White Sands land use bylaw states that no accessory buildings or portion thereof shall be erected or placed within the front yard of a lakeside parcel. And with the lakeside parcel, the front yard, there's a definition, is a yard extending across the full width of the parcel from the boundary of the parcel abutting the lake to the front wall of the main building situated on the parcel. So as per that, the applicant is requesting a variance to our land use bylaws through the municipal planning commission. She has also, or both, sorry, the husband and wife have written a letter in favor why they are asking for this variance. They are adjacent to a public utility or like MR municipal reserve right away on the side of the parcel, and so they've planned this out to put the garage there to kind of block and make privacy against the pathway, the public pathway. And from a planning perspective, I don't see it affecting any adjacent landowner in a negative way. Or really having any effect on the planning side of things. So I recommend, my recommendation is to allow it. That is the application before you today, and there is some images they submitted as well to show you what it looks like from the pathway side looking into their lot, and also from the Nicole Way, or from the Coles Way, sorry, onto their lot, kind of where they're putting it with the site plan. So.
Okay, I guess just for like the reason is with the MPC. We have the power to do the variance if it's not approved by the development officer. Because of the land use bylaw says can't do it, so that's what's come here. So the main thing is not this one in particular, but like Angela said, it's not going to affect anybody. But down the road, if there's other applications, we kind of you also gotta look at, for example, if there's a variance being looked at and there's an empty lot next door that's gonna eventually have development on it. You gotta be careful that we don't interfere with variance too much there or not at all because of fire codes. That's why the side setbacks are there. And that's a big reason. And of course, if it was a height thing, it could interfere with someone's building that is going to be built on an empty lot, let's say across the street, for their view of the lake perhaps, or one beside it, maybe they're going to shade the whole lot and they don't know, there's lots of things that come into play there.
We've also included, can you see it, Paul? We put up a
Yes, I
map
can.
to show that area, and it is that one right beside beach access number 8. That's requesting it.
Yeah.
Yes.
So another thing with the MPC is you have to be careful down the road. Let's say you had and we have quite a few, not quite a few, but every municipality has non-conforming buildings.
Mhm.
So if someone had a non-conforming building and the land use bylaw says you can replace the shingles, the windows, the doors, siding and everything else, but you cannot put an addition on it. So if someone had a non-conforming building and made application to Angela to put an addition on it, let's say a garage on the property that's attached to the building, well, it could possibly be non-conforming too, depending on how it's attached to the existing and stuff. So then you're going to run into a problem. So you again, for fire protection and other issues and building, you may approve a garage that's going to get added on to a non-conforming building, and then that garage is going to be non-conforming too. So you have to kind of look at the whole picture, because there's all sorts of things that could happen. But that's just another
Well,
piece of.
I don't see this as creating a precedence, this is a one-off on this particular
Right.
situation.
Yeah, I'm just talking, like I'm trying to get the board to realize what some of the problems could be and some of the good things that can happen too.
A couple of questions that I've got on that are, first of all, are there any particular reasons for this bylaw, specifically in relation to lakeside properties that they're configured this way? Is it primarily around aesthetics of view of people of the lake and how it looks from the beach looking back into the properties? Or is it, at all related to along a lot of white sands, there's a big escarpment and not wanting to be overly disturbing that escarpment? Or are there other factors that are behind that part of the bylaw?
Basically what happened, and it was quite a number of years ago, was that all the properties in the Summer Village of White Sands, their front yard was their street.
Mm-hmm.
Where they had access. So on the Lakeview property or the lakefront properties that are listed in, Angela put them in the document here, they're all listed in the land use bylaw, and them ones we changed from front to back. We reversed the front to back on them because all the garages were on the roadside and some of them were detached, like yours, right? So they were non-conforming. So what we did with that was change all the lakeside properties. So the front yard is in the lake. But we also allow for them, folks to have a shed up to 144 square feet down below to put their life jackets and stuff like that. But there's also ones in the front yard along Lakeshore. I didn't do the survey on the Lakeshore ones, but there is granny or what do you call
Garden
it?
suite or-
Yeah,
Are you Front Street or Lakeview?
Yeah, which street, because we
Lake-
can pull this up and let you guys see where
yeah,
things are situated.
there is larger, like size of small garages down on lakefront in the front yards of some of them. There's some on at the end of 4th Street, there's one down there.
Front Street's this way, Alex.
There's other ones. So I think personally with this one, Angela is completely right that it's not going to infringe on anybody or anything else.
Mm-hmm.
It's not gonna impact the view and it's not gonna impact
No.
the stability of the escarpment.
No, and entirely on this one. And I did a jog by it yesterday and happened to talk to one of the neighbors who was out for a walk as well. And he said, "Oh yeah, I'm fine with it." Other question that I've got on it, in terms of setting the precedent and all that, there's a lot of latitude on where the primary structure could be put on the lot. Now, if it were reversed and the primary structure was being applied for where the garage is, would that be within the bylaw as well? Like it's not encroaching anywhere on, that would be setting a precedent of that way, would it? Like, I guess what I'm asking is if somebody had applied to put the house where they're applying for the garage and then put the garage on the street side, would that have been perfectly fine?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it would have met all the land use bylaw. Yeah.
Okay. So they're really just kind of reversing it around essentially. So that would take away some of the precedent of, blocking the view of a neighboring vacant parcel sort of thing, because they could have put a house right there anyways.
Right.
Right, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
So, sorry.
Just last question I've got is just touching on something that I think Melissa had mentioned at the organizational meeting a few weeks ago, and just wanted to understand that, in terms of setting precedent, if we approve this as an exception, it doesn't set precedent that says that we have to approve a garage on any lot. Now that if they apply for a similar sort of thing, does it? Like we can still use our discretion and say it makes sense here, but we're not going to say this is, setting precedent for approval of anybody now that wants to do it, or how does that work?
I would say no, because of the pathway beside this one, it is a bit unique. And it is always at your guys' discretion what you decide, but I would argue if somebody did come forward and say, well, you just approved that one, I would say, well. This one is unique, it's against that pathway, right? Municipal reserve pathway, which not all lots are, so.
So maybe that could be the condition of the approval. Because if we start putting the conditions in there, when you do this type of stuff, it makes it a lot clearer so that next person that tries to come, it's, well, no, the condition was because it's not adjacent to another property owner, it's adjacent to a path.
And the other thing, Paul, is like an MPC decision is a one-off.
Yeah.
Like. The land use bylaw says what you cannot do or whatever else. And if it gets challenged, it's nothing to do with the development officer or that authority. It is goes to the MPC again as a separate decision on another piece of property.
Well, that hence the variance, the word variance.
Case by case.
And I
So-
think what
Oh, go ahead.
I think what you're trying to say is that you're right. Because when you we're trying to apply to the whole, so it's good to have the conditions set so that we can make sure that when the next person applies, we're a little more aware
What happened in the
Yeah.
past?
of what
Yeah.
happened in the past. Yeah,
To my mind, really what we make as an individual one-off exception remains that an individual one-off exception regardless of, some of the details of it. And if we are seeing this coming up again and again, then it says council, we say, well, maybe we should amend the bylaws to make this more clear on a blanket basis.
Great.
Yeah,
Yes.
and Paul, that's quite often what happens with. I know I've said it before, is land use bylaw is a fluid document. It's supposed to be reviewed every few years.
Mhm.
Because things change, and then through this kind of like an MPC decision. So maybe we've dinged on something that should be changed. So when the land use bylaw comes, like I keep a list of things. So when the land use bylaw comes up for review, then there's items there that should be maybe discussed by the committee who's on the land use bylaw changes.
Yes, yeah,
And that's how it goes. And maybe down the road, lakefront properties won't be designated in the land use bylaw. I have no idea. It's just something that is always changing.
Mhm.
Because the community is changing.
That's right. Well, and there is bigger legislation as well, like you guys have your Buffalo Lake IDP and all
Right.
that stuff as well, which also ties into all of this. And the fun of the challenges, so.
You bet,
Yeah,
and
you can see that come too.
that's a big powerhouse as far as Buffalo Lake, and that includes the 5 municipalities
Yeah,
and.
sorry, intermunicipal development plan, so
Yeah.
that's, sorry.
Yeah.
So we have to adhere by what's in that plan in our land use bylaws,
That's right.
period.
Yeah, so you may hear, I will just say it, I don't know if it has to be at this meeting, but about the garages and people and dwellings in the garages. We've really knocked down on that and really questioned people's garages moving forward now, like making sure they don't have a bathroom or. Or something that says they could possibly be living in, or somebody could be living in a garage, so. Just in case you hear that rumbling in the village.
Yeah.
That is what that all has to do with, is actually the larger legislation above White Sands that is regulating that.
And we have to pay attention to it because of the possibility of maybe having our allotment of lots is 505 in the village. So
Right.
if you allow 2 residences on one lot, you're gonna be hooped. But also, I hate to go on about this,
Yeah,
but
sorry, I kind of.
so what
Can't word, but
it does too is sterilize Maynard's proposed subdivision.
Yeah.
So he can have the small lots, but he gotta put sewer and water in there. And if he doesn't put the sewer and water in, then he's gotta have 2-acre lots. So it took it from 53 lots or whatever down to 12 or 13.
Yeah, 13.
So, that's,
It's all part of
yeah.
it.
Anyway, I guess we need a motion, and I'll move that we allow as recommendation from And
I'll second that.
A motion to approve the application.
Yeah.
Conditions one till 12. Conditions that were. Yeah, what are the conditions?
So the one I had in there was, so owner applicant receives approval for construction of a detached garage in the front yard of a lakeside parcel. And the rest are right, just general ones, but I can read them to you. So it's owner applicant must comply with all provisions of the land use bylaw. Applicant is responsible for cost repair of any damaged public property or works located thereon. That may occur as a result of undertaking work regulated under Alberta Building Code. For compliance with provisions of land use bylaw does not exempt the applicant from compliance with any provincial, federal, or other municipal legislation. Proposed development shall be located in accordance with the approved plan. Any changes must be submitted to the White Sands. Applicant is responsible for ensuring all development is outside all active utility right-of-ways. Applicant is responsible for making suitable arrangements with utility companies for provisions of servicing and necessary easements. Any excavation must not affect adjoining properties and cause minimal environmental disruption. Construction waste is to be hauled directly to Stettler Regional Landfill. Owner applicant shall arrange for and obtain approval with Alberta Building Codes, that's their building permits, which they will get after the 21-day appeal period. And shall again obtain approval for compliance with fire, plumbing, gas, and electrical regulations as applicable. And as per the Municipal Government Act, all development permits go through a 21-day appeal period. So that's just the last requirement on there.
So the conditions are good?
Would we want to add one like we talked about before, or just the, part of the reasoning of it being adjacent to a public access and not impacting the neighbors on either side in any way, or would that be part of the conditions, or how would that be weaved into it?
I think that stays it's in the minutes. I don't think I can make that as a condition. You have to read that in your minutes. So what I do in the past too is
I
you
see.
go back, look at these applications, read the minutes, and then you can see why they decided what they did.
It's part of our rationale, it's not part of the recommendation.
That's
Right,
right,
okay,
yeah.
which is reflected in the minutes, not in the permit. Okay, I get it.
That's right. Yeah.
All those conditions look good to me.
Okay,
Okay, so I guess that's it
great.
for the meeting,
Thank
and
you guys.
thanks so much for attending. And your questions, always good. Always good.
It's good that we're having these things because this is nice and makes it easier. Does a motion to adjourn at
10,
25?
20, whatever it
It's
is.
25 minutes.
10:25. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, nice meeting you guys.
See you later.
Thank you. Thanks for accommodating a remote meeting. That makes it much easier, obviously.
Was it okay? You could hear everything?
It was good. It was good. So that's a good thing. I know a couple times I've listened in on past board meeting or council meetings, and it's been really hard to hear, but this